So, good morning. Welcome, everyone. We're going to take one more minute just in case there is more people joining. Hello, Damir. If you want to turn on your video, it's okay as well. If you have any questions during this webinar, you can ask them as well along the way. Now, first of all, just a sound check. Damir, do you hear me? Can I get a thumbs up or something? Mm-hmm. See. Now, let's see. So, welcome, Damir. Can you hear me? Let's see. Just doing a sound check. Damir, can you hear me? Awesome. Thank you. So, we're going to take 1 minute and then we're going to get started. So, this video will be recorded as well. It's for educational purposes, and it will be available for people that join later on and so on. Now, for you guys who don't know me, my name is Michel Laporte-Gordon, and I am the CEO of a sales education company called Vimentis Group. We work with startups, we work with businesses overall, with business education program and so on. Our focus is always a sales perspective, how to create growth and how to create natural growth, position a company on the market and so on and so on. But today we're going to talk about a subject that we have encountered many times during the last couple of months, basically. And not only in Sweden, where we are headquartered, but also this is a global thing. We can see now that there is an entrepreneurial revolution going on in the world, and there is more and more startup businesses that's starting. And we can see that the micro the micro entrepreneurship is really, really booming. And we have this situation now on the market where we have startups, we have innovations and so on that needs investments at one point or another. And in that case, we can see so many times the same mistakes startups and small business owners tends to do. What I'm talking about in this webinar is not only for people living in Europe or in economies that is quite great. I mean, you can always find an investor, but you need to do certain things. You need to prepare in a certain way, and you need to do focus on some key factors in order to attract these investors. And this is what we're going to talk about here. And I believe that this is fundamental anywhere no matter where you live, basically. So we're going to go straight to it. We'll try to keep this short and effective. And if there is anything that you would like to know, then you can contact me and I will give you the information in the links to this video as well and how to do that. Now, first of all, we're going to talk about how to pitch for the investor. Usually, if we go back to the beginning of the 19th century, everything was about innovation. It still is in a certain way, but today, since the market is so packed with information, if we just go to the app development industry, they say that about approximately 4,000 new apps are launched every day on the market, all right? And still I find startups and small business owners focusing that this app must be perfect, it must be this, it must be that. Yes, it has to be good, it has to be even great, but that is something that the investors, they are counting on it. Because when you pitch to an investor, it's not about the product, and we're gonna talk about this because this is one of the biggest mistakes that we can still see so many startups do. They focus on practically giving a manual during the pitch, which is so dangerous in these economies and in this time of the period on the market, because we can see that first of all, that's not how a decision is made. The decisions are not made by presenting facts, not in any industry these days. It comes in later, so I'm not saying it's not important, but we need to understand what is the purpose of the pitch and what should I focus on in that particular moment, okay? So I gave you some pointers here, and the first one is I want you guys to think about what feeling do you want to create with your pitch. We usually start with what shall I say, and that's of course something that is important, but I want you guys to think about what feeling do you want to create with your sales pitch, okay? And what I mean with that is that do you want the person that listens to your sales pitch, do you want them to be motivated? Do you want them to be super interested? Do you want them to be angry? You want them to feel in love, whatever, okay? But the thing is, you can control that. That is something that is up to you. The way you talk, the way you use your words, it's about how you do things. And so basically, what I want you guys to focus on is more focusing on how to present your product or service than what you say, all right? Because the how will control what they will feel in the end of the pitch. Even though it's for 30 seconds, 90 seconds, it doesn't matter. The thing is that, and the key is, what do you want them to feel, all right? Because again, what is the purpose? What is the purpose of a sales pitch? The sole purpose of pitching to an investor is to get them to want to dive into your product or service, okay? Because there is not a chance whatsoever that they will fully understand. If you're doing a 90-second sales pitch, okay, there is no chance in the world that they can fully understand your product. It's not a chance. So what do they look for? Well, they look for people they want to invest in, because they know once they find a great entrepreneur, they will always be presented with great business opportunities. So this is also one thing that we need to keep in mind, that pitching for an investor doesn't always mean that it's only for one time. If you do it right and you deliver what you say you're going to deliver and so on, this investor probably will follow you for a very long time, because that's the correlation that you have. You have the inventors, the startups, and you have the investors. The investors has already done the journey, and what they do, they have the capital, so they can still expand, but they don't need to invent things. They get people come to them. So what do they want to have? They want to feel excited. They want to feel like, wow, this smells like an opportunity. So that is why I always ask entrepreneurs and startups, what feeling do you want to create to this investor, for this investor, okay? The second question I want you to think about is, why should they invest? Before you start to create your sales pitch and so on, I want you to take one step back and really think about it. Why should they invest? And I want you to answer that question without going through your product or service. I want you to go above and beyond. The why is hidden in the market, okay? The why is not the obvious reason. The why is usually somewhere over here. It's the consequence of what your company will create or establish or whatever. That should be the why, because that's where the long-term investment is. All right. So we always need to understand that why should they invest? And this is not something that I want them to answer. I want you to answer it before you go to your investor. And by doing this, you help them in a way to understand. By doing this, you will focus these 90 seconds or whatever you have on the right thing. Okay. Because now you're focusing on how to say it. You're focusing on what feeling you want to create. And with this question, you are focusing on the vision that you sell them. All right? The opportunity is hidden in the vision, in the market, way over here. Your product is merely the tool to get there. Okay? But the pitch, the purpose of the pitch is their why. So we need to find it. Okay. Now, and that brings always the question, is it visions or is it facts? Well, it's a combination of both, apparently. And this question is not black or white. It's a big gray zone that we need to understand that can be very individually, depending on what kind of investor that you have in front of you. We still need to do our due diligence when it comes to who are we going to meet. So we're going to drop this one for a few seconds and we're going to look over here. I wrote some questions. First of all, before you pitch, there is always a chance that you can do some research, because these people they are running some companies or whatever, and they are, if not super public, you can still find them in 9 out of 10 times on the internet, of course. So I want you to think about, who are they? Who is it that you're going to meet? And why I want you to think about that and why I want you to do that kind of research is that, well, I'll give you an example. Let's say you have an investor like Richard Branson, for an example. So Richard Branson is, he has a huge heart. He wants to do environmental investments today. He wants to take care of the planet and so on and so on. Now I'm just giving you an example. All right. Imagine pitching to Sir Richard Branson and not understanding that this is very important. This is what he likes. This is what he really gets turned on, you know. When he sees an investment that can save the planet in one way or another, that catches his interest, his attention, okay? Imagine if you miss that out and you stand there and you talk about perhaps even the opposite. That would be disastrous, okay? It doesn't matter what you say. In that case, you will not have a chance to get the investment you want. But if you do your research and you find out that, okay, you can see, because when you find them on social media, you can get the quite great picture of what they do and their personal habits and so on. It takes like 5 minutes to see this, okay? Most of the professionals on the market, you can find them on LinkedIn at least. But if you don't find them on LinkedIn, you will find them on Facebook or whatever. You can just Google anything today. So I always, before I meet somebody, I always look them up in social media. And the reason why is that I want to find out, is there anything, first of all, that I should avoid, that I should think about? Like Sir Richard Branson, maybe I shouldn't talk about the coal industry with that person, because there's a big chance he wouldn't be interested and even pissed off. You get the point. So it's very important that we do our due diligence and that we do our research in order for us to know if it's vision or if it's facts that I need to present. Because on the other hand, I would say that you could see that, okay, this is a very fact-oriented famous person, but let's say somebody, let's just say it's in the medicine industry or in the science industry or whatever. In that kind of case, of course, you need to have your facts right, and that maybe in your sales pitch you should touch base on some important facts in order to capture the investor's attention. Okay, so we need to really think about this. Should I go with vision, facts, or a combination of both? Okay, so make sure to do your research, and then with all this pressed together, you will see that the true question, the true reason, what is the purpose of all this, you will be able to answer, and you will be able to deliver that feeling that is needed in order to get that investment. If you're going to the bank, if you're going somewhere, if you go to the bank, for an example, the only thing they think about is how and when will you be able to pay back the loan. That's it. And the credibility is in the details, of course. But that is something that we need to think about. Even buying a house, it's the same thing. I even told the bank once that I was sitting and we had a negotiation. I told them, listen, I know the only thing you are looking for is how and when can I pay back the loan, right? And they say, yeah. I said, good. So let's focus on that. But it's the same thing, whatever you do here. So make sure that you think about all these things and think about who are you going to meet, use social media, and most of all, what feeling do you want to create when you pitch to the investors? Once you answer that, I think you know how to build up your sales pitch in order to create the impact that you want and get the investment that you want. Great. If you want to have some more details around this subject, then please contact me and we can talk some more about this. But this is the fundamentals in order to pitch to investors. And if you just try this out, I promise you, you will note that even a regular business meeting will definitely become something else when you focus on these things. Okay, so I want you guys to have a great, hope you have a great weekend coming here, and happy Halloween if I didn't say that. And yeah, take care, guys.